Born Before 64 is a TV show that asks the vital question, what will we do for the rest of our lives? Kathryn Raaker hosts a show for baby boomers and above, inviting real people to tell real stories about overcoming issues, about facing with courage and triumph the significant obstacles many of us face every day. So let's join Kathryn Raaker for Born Before 64.
Good evening, I'm Kathryn Raaker of Born Before 64, and we have a subject very dear to my heart because one of my brothers died. Unfortunately, he committed suicide, and he was mentally ill in so many different ways, and there was nothing that we could do to stop it, unfortunately, and we couldn't intervene. Tonight, our guest is with us is Linda Hutchinson, the author of In My Petticoat, A Touch of Insanity, and is a lone advocate for justice in the mental health system. And also, you know, we really need to fight for intervention for mental illness, because it's a story of one woman's fight who lost her son and what it did to her family and what she's doing to help to make it better for other families. And I want to welcome you to our show tonight. It's such a pleasure. You came all the way from Columbus, Ohio. And I just want to give your bio here just for a minute, Linda. You were born in Dayton, Ohio, and you now live in Columbus, Ohio. You're semi-retired, married her high school sweetheart, and is the mother of 4 children. 3 biological children and 1 adopted child, and she fostered 9 additional children. She has searched almost 50 years for the answers to childhood mental illness and how we cope with mental illness in our society. She claims most of her education is street smarts. With 2 years of business management from Sinclair Community College. Her book, My Petticoat, A Touch of Insanity, has been a mandate to tell her story and have it make a difference. Let us talk about, number one, when did you know that your son had a problem?
Kathryn, it was probably about the age of 2 when we realized we had a very intelligent little boy, but very out of control. And I sought help from pediatricians, from our family doctor. They would all say, he's just all boy, he'll outgrow this. And some of the things he did were just not normal.
Like, for instance?
For instance, he would be at age 2, he would go out his bedroom window and be sitting on the top of the roof. He would wander away in the middle of the night and the police would have to bring him home. And he's just a toddler. It was almost like I didn't sleep for 50 years. Because of this one child. I would stay up on the couch trying to intervene to keep him from doing things he shouldn't be doing.
My question is, where is he? Now you have 4 children, or there was 5 with him?
No, I gave birth to 3, adopted 1, and fostered 9.
Okay, so where was he in the mix?
He was the second child born, biological child.
Right. I have to tell you that my brother, Art, my mom had the same problem. He would run away, and she finally had to use a thing for him, like a strap that, you know, it was a long strap, almost like a dog leash, but it was a child leash,
right,
to keep him from running away. And he would do it all the time. She would always find him in the woods, or she'd find him somewhere, but you know, being divorced and everything, it was very difficult for her. And he's the one that had the mental illness, I think, the most. So now, how did your family feel about what was happening to you, and what kind of support did you get from them?
Well, you remember the movie, What's the Matter with Bob?
Yes.
We lived, What's the Matter with Joe? And we lived around having ways of controlling his behavior within the family himself. And that's what was so difficult, is with the other children, it was, Mom Joey did this, Mom Joey's out here doing that, Joey's mixing chemicals together, Mom, Joey's doing this. He could run out of his room, open a refrigerator door, break a dozen of eggs, throw Play-Doh on the floor, run out the back door and be hanging upside down in a tree, all within minutes, sometimes seconds. How do you control a mind like that? His mind raced so fast of things he wanted to do and felt he could do. When he was finally tested for IQ, he had 150 IQ, but you couldn't control it.
You couldn't control
it.
So what did you do?
Well, we saw it obviously as started out with his play school teacher, who kept saying, what are you doing at home? We can't have this child in play school. He's just running amok. We can't control his behavior in play school. You need to do this. And we would try different programs of behavior modification. We would try rewards. Joey, if you can sit still for 5 minutes, you can have a popsicle. He hardly ever could sit still for 5 minutes to get that popsicle. It was just a matter of on the go all the time with that mind racing and racing. He would build beautiful things with his hands. He was very articulate, but he just did not fit in with any other children to be playmates or things of this sort. It was just always, what's the matter with Joe? Where is he? What's he doing?
Now that was back in what era?
That was 1962.
So you were...
And when I saw a child psychologist then, never was mental illness ever brought up. It was always behavior modification, or there was something wrong with inside the family. There was hints of perhaps abuse, that he was receiving abuse at home. That didn't happen. There was no abuse in our family. There was no drugs. There was no alcohol. There was nothing of this sort. They wanted to blame the family or your techniques of raising a child for why your child was misbehaving like that. So consequently, we had to fight those efforts of what was going on.
How did your husband react to
My
the
husband
situation?
Initially reacted to the fact there can't be anything wrong with my son. And most men feel that way. They just can't take the fact that there could be something wrong with their son. He'll outgrow this, he'd say. And he would support. I mean, we'd have to relieve each other. So we began to split apart for that very reason. He would stay with Joey while I did other things with the other children. Then I would stay with Joey while he did things with the other children. We couldn't take Joey to church. We couldn't take Joey hardly anywhere that he was accepted because you could not take care of his behavior. Now, eventually, when he got from like 2 to 6, those things did slow down. But then he started to do things much more age appropriate, if you will, with no more childhood stuff. It became more in-depth things that you didn't see on the surface.
For instance?
Well, for instance, like I said, if you didn't know where he was at, he was probably building a bomb.
A bomb?
A bomb. If you didn't know where he was at, he was probably running through neighbors' yards or pulling flowers up, things of that sort. It was just a really bizarre childhood for him. Now, having said that, there were periods of time, which is why I knew that if we could get a psychologist to see, he would go in what I called remission. We'd think he had turned the corner. There were months at a time where his behavior was almost perfect. And that would usually...
Was he in school then?
Yes, he was in school then. He was usually very calm in the summer, but as fall came on, winter, it was unbelievable, his actions in that period of time. So there was some point of maybe seasonal depression.
And on that note, what's the name of the book again, and where can people buy it?
The name of the book is In My Petticoat, A Touch of Insanity. It can be bought through createspace.com, through amazon.com. You can order it through Barnes & Noble. You can order it on Kindle, and it is in the Columbus Library.
That's great. We'll be right back on Born Before 64 with Linda Hutchinson, author of In My Petticoat, A Touch of Insanity.